There are 3 total things that you need to start live streaming your music in 2025. I've been a streamer for 4 years, and today I'm gonna show you what I'm using and how to set it up to create the best possible experience for your viewers. Number 1, you need a way for your audience to see you. Number 2, you need a way for the audience to hear you. And number 3, you need a cool looking place to stream from. This year, I am making an effort to perform more music and not just write it. And to that end, I'm gonna be doing a lot of performance streams with my new solo project. And I'm gonna show you how you can stream your music performances on platforms like YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, all while creating promotional content in real time. Let's start by tackling the first thing on the list, how to be seen. What you need is, of course, a camera and some way to get it into your computer so that it shows up in OBS or whatever broadcasting software you're using. There are 2 basic types of cameras that you're going to be considering. Webcams that will interface directly with your computer, plug and play, and then sort of commercial type cameras like mirrorless, DSLR, that kind of thing, that will have HDMI or SDI outs that you will have to have a separate interface, something like this, in order to get it to interface with your computer. I'm a bit of a camera enthusiast, and I've used lots of different kinds of cameras to stream with over the years, but right now what I'm using are these PTZ cameras from obsbot, who are sponsoring today's video. And there's a few reasons why I'm using these instead of my mirrorless cameras for live streaming these days. Until recently, what I was doing is plugging the HDMI out of my mirrorless and DSLR cameras into this HDMI switcher, right? And then this plugs via USB into the computer. And then I could switch between the different camera angles, but doing it like that, you can only have one show up at a time in OBS. Now these obsbot cameras, like the one you're watching me on right now, have the crazy good quality, but they function like a webcam. So I just plug them in with a USB cable and each one shows up as a separate input in OBS, which means now I can stream and record both horizontally for YouTube and Twitch and vertically for TikTok simultaneously with dedicated angles and looks for each one. And I can have multiple angles like this guitar cam. And because they're PTZ, which stands for pan, tilt, zoom with AI tracking, I can change the angle and framing in real time and have it follow me around the room while I'm performing. I really like to use the tail airs presets in my stream deck. For example, sometimes I like to jam on the drums over the song, so I can hit the jam preset. And I can just go right back. Or like if I'm singing and I want to do a close-up, right? Now, if I wanted to start tracking me, I can just use a hand gesture like this, and now it's gonna follow me around the room, which is really nice if I want to explore the studio space. Real quick, I want to talk about today's sponsor, obsbot, and why I really like using their cameras. The vast majority of PTZ cameras are really bulky, very expensive, and crazy hard to use. But the obsbot cameras that I've been using lately are the opposite of that. They're ultra compact, they're really easy to use, they look amazing, and they're totally affordable. The main wide shot that you're seeing here is the obsbot tail air, and I also have it set up on a slider, and then I can have it track me around the room while sliding back and forth. You can set it up basically anywhere because it's battery powered and completely wireless, and then you have a little cameraman that'll kind of follow you around with really nice framing so that you can just focus on what it is that you're doing. They're also perfect for recording multiple angles of a live concert without having to hire a whole camera operator for each camera, because you can just set the AI tracking to track each member of the band separately. You can control it so many different ways. You can use gestures, voice commands, a mobile app, a desktop app, an official Stream Deck integration, or the obsbot remote. For more information on the obsbot tail air and their other amazing cameras, you can check the link in the description. Huge thanks to obsbot for sponsoring this video. And as you can see, my window back here is all green screened out so that I can put whatever I want in it while I'm performing. I like to do video game gameplay or whatever crazy visuals I want. The other two angles that I use are from the obsbot Tiny 2, which is wildly cool and ultra compact. One of which I'm using here as a guitar close-up, and the other one is for streaming vertical to TikTok or Instagram. Of course, you don't need to have as complex of a setup as I have here, but I like to have a ton of flexibility so that I can be more creative with the visual. Next, let's talk about being heard on your stream. We're talking about music here, so of course, this is gonna be very important. You're gonna need two basic things to be heard. Number one, you need a microphone. I'm using the Rode Pod Mic and the Lewitt MTP 440. And then you need something to turn the sound into zeros and ones to get it into your computer. That's called an audio interface. There's a lot of different ones out there. The one that I'm currently using is the Universal Audio Apollo X4 because I need enough inputs to get my guitar and two microphones in because sometimes I have a guest. So that one works really well for me. And also there's this really easy trick with the Apollo interfaces to get what's called loopback, which we'll talk about in a minute. Deciding on the right interface for your setup is going to depend a lot on how many inputs that you're going to need. For example, if you're like a singer-songwriter and you're playing acoustic guitar and singing, you're probably just gonna need two inputs, one for your mic for your voice and one for your guitar. But if you're a drummer miking up a full kit, you're gonna need one input for each mic plus one for your voice. For me, what I'm doing with this project, almost everything is in the box in Ableton. All of my sounds are software, so all I need is one input for my guitar, one for the microphone for my voice, and like I said, one for a guest. Everything else is just USB MIDI control for my robot army of software synths and other stuff in Ableton, so it all just goes USB direct into the computer. So that's how you get your music into the computer, but now we gotta get the music from the computer out to the stream, to the listeners. That's called loopback. Loopback is easily the hardest part of setting up to stream. If you can do this, everything else is gonna seem like a total cakewalk. Loopback is just getting the audio from your computer into the streaming software. It seems like it should be really simple, but for whatever reason, it is always needlessly complicated. Luckily, the companies that make audio interfaces have caught on to this, and most of the newer ones have this feature built in. If you haven't already bought an audio interface, I highly recommend that you look for ones with this feature. There are also several software solutions to this, but most newer interfaces are made to stream right out of the box. I'll link to both of those below. I'm not gonna cover how to do loopback in this video because that's a whole video on its own, but I'm gonna link to a really helpful one for you right here. Now let's talk about the stream room environment. All the cameras in the world won't save you if what they're pointing at isn't cool. So you need to set your backdrops, vibe, and aesthetic. The unfortunate fact is that performing music isn't really all that visually interesting or exciting, except for drummers. My stream room is crazy. Yours does not have to be this bonkers, but the music I make with this project is supposed to be fun and a bit wacky, so I have put a lot into setting up the aesthetic to match. Kind of the star of the show are these Govee glide lights here that you can do a lot with. I really like that they kind of look like pipes with stuff going places, so I have it all kind of flowing into here, so it's like a power bank that sort of powers up like when somebody donates or something happens. I also have it set up so that I can trigger different lighting with the song in real time. It's also triggered by alerts, like if someone donates money on the stream or if they subscribe to me. That makes people feel like they're involved, like it's interactive, right? They do something at home and something happens in here. Makes it way more fun. I do all that with this app called Lumia Stream. You can connect all your streaming accounts to it, and then you can use it to trigger different lights and sound effects, lots of other stuff with alerts or MIDI or chat commands. It's really a wild time for all of this kind of stuff because if you can imagine it, you can probably do it. I have a chat command where people can make my fog machine go off by donating bits. I also have these 3 different lights to light myself. I've got this as my main key light here. I have a tube light as a colored fill, and then this one here is a hair light to sort of separate myself out from the background, even though I don't have any hair. It's a beanie light. None of this stuff will matter if what you're doing on your stream isn't fun and compelling. But if you're doing it right, there will probably be tons of moments that will happen on the stream that will be worth sharing afterwards on other platforms, which will then in turn bring more people to your streams. So here's how I have it set up so that I never lose those moments. You can record your complete streams a number of different ways, like directly onto your hard drive in OBS, or directly onto your camera, like on a micro SD card, like I do on the Tail Air. But I want to be able to grab something that just happened and save it as its own thing, rather than having to comb through a whole 5-hour stream after the fact. And we're gonna do that with something called the replay buffer in OBS. And all that is that it just kind of keeps recording the last 60 seconds or whatever you tell it to of your stream. And then we're gonna set up a key command that tells it to actually turn that into a video and save it. I have it set up as a button on my stream deck that just says clip it. So if something funny or cool happens on the stream, I hit the button and it saves that clip of whatever just happened onto my hard drive. So we just go into the settings in OBS, click on the replay buffer, and then this maximum replay time is how long of a clip it's going to make is set to 60 seconds. So what that means is that it's constantly keeping track of the last 60 seconds that happened. And you can set that to however long you like. And then we head over to the hotkeys section. We go to the replay buffer, and then you make up a key shortcut, whatever you want to do. I'm going to do this one. Okay, so if I hit this combination of keys, it's gonna save that 60 seconds of video. But of course, I don't want to have to go over to my keyboard and put in this key command. So then I go to my stream deck. If you don't know what a stream deck is, it's basically just a macro machine. You can set it up to do a bunch of different things with one button push. Grab a hotkey button, then I go to hotkey and I just put in the hotkey command that I put in to OBS. This next step is crucial. When you start your stream, you also have to start the replay buffer. If you don't have the replay buffer running, it's not gonna record anything. I learned that the hard way. So then I'm pretending that I'm streaming, something crazy happened. Wow, what? I know, wacky, right? Hit the clip it button, and now it has saved this moment so that I can embarrass myself with it later. Terrible. So that way when you're done streaming, you will have a folder full of all of these moments that you can edit and add captions or whatever to, and then you can share them on TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts, or whatever, and point people back to your stream. If you've been thinking about streaming your music, stop thinking about it and just dive in. It's a great way to promote your music, and it is incredibly fun. If you want to see what I'm doing on my stream, you can follow me over on twitch.tv/bangerizer. Stay squishy, and I'll see you on a stream.